A warm welcome to our esteemed teacher and to the entire assembly. Please be seated. Today is the third day of the Lunar New Year. Is the holiday over yet? Is it the last day? Well, that really depends on us. If we have the means, we can let our celebration linger for a little while longer. I remember when I was little, I remember my own father. When I was small, my father also used to drink alcohol. Later, he gave it all up, gave up the drinking, gave up everything, and became a monk, which was quite remarkable. Because when I was a child, he loved his drink. He had many drinking buddies, and they were always gathering around. And often, when he saw me reading scriptures or going to the pagoda, he'd have a bit of alcohol in him and get sarcastic. He would always say this line, "Tigers must cultivate, bears must cultivate, but for harmless little lizards, there's no need to cultivate." His point was that only wicked, fierce people need to train and correct themselves. As for a gentle person like him, there was no need to cultivate. He was just being sarcastic. Every time he saw his child go to the pagoda or read scriptures, he would make that sarcastic remark. But then later, it was he himself who ordained and began to practice. And he practiced very well. He could sit in meditation with incredible focus. Sometimes, when I went to visit him at my older brother monk's hut, I would have to wait a full 3 hours because he was sitting in meditation. He would sit and sit for 3 whole hours. Only when he emerged from his meditation could we finally visit and talk. So you see, it is like this. The Buddha's teachings appeared in this world to give us a spiritual path, a principle for our cultivation. Of course, there are many religions, but for now, let's just talk about Buddhism. The teachings of the Buddha appeared in this world to give us principles, to give us a path, an ideal. And those beautiful, noble principles have the power to change our very souls. However, as we interact with many people, we discover a simple truth. Not everyone understands the Dharma, and not everyone loves the Dharma. For example, if you think back through history, during certain golden ages in our country, the kings themselves were almost all Zen masters. The rulers of those eras, they were incredibly devout. The merit of those kings was great on 2 fronts. They had the worldly merit to become kings, and they had the spiritual merit to attain enlightenment. It's rare for anyone to achieve both. This reminds me of a story. One time, the Buddha was in the land of Benares, on his alms round with his monks. He saw a husband and wife sitting by the roadside, begging. No one else paid them any mind, but the Buddha stopped. From a distance, he pointed them out. "Oh monks," he said, "do you see that begging couple? Their bodies are still whole, yet they are forced to beg because they have no other opportunity left to live." The monks replied, "Yes, we see them, blessed one." The Buddha then explained, when their parents died, they left these two an immense fortune. They spent it all lavishly, until one day not a shred of their merit remained. And now they have no opportunity left. They must beg to survive. If these two, from the very beginning, had chosen to cultivate a spiritual life, their merit would have been enough to attain arahantship, full enlightenment. That is, their worldly merit could have been transformed into spiritual merit. Even if they had not cultivated but simply lived in the world, their merit was enough to become non-returners. And had they married and had children, it was still enough to become stream enterers. You see, merit diminishes gradually. When we indulge heavily in the world, our spiritual merit slowly fades away. But today, the Buddha concluded, without any cultivation, without any practice, they have fallen to a point where they cannot even be normal human beings. They are so poor and destitute they must beg. It had come to that. Then, the Buddha continued on his alms round. That story gives us much to think about. Each of us carries a certain amount of merit from our past lives. Everything we experience, everything we enjoy, truly comes from that store of merit we have accumulated. We spend it bit by bit, enjoy it bit by bit. And if we don't create new merit to replenish it, that old merit just shrinks and shrinks until it's gone completely. And when your merit is gone, if you are not yet dead, you will become a miserable person. If you are already dead, you become a kind of hungry ghost wandering aimlessly. As I said yesterday, when we look at a person, we can evaluate them on many levels. Wealth, beauty, health, intelligence, all sorts of things. But in the end, it all boils down to just 2 things, their demerit and their merit. That is all. Behind every person is just a history of demerit and merit. Therefore, a person of wisdom who understands the Dharma simply weighs their own demerit and merit. There's no need to make it complicated. Before doing anything, just ask, is this demerit or is this merit? That's it. Your entire day is just that. Every thought, every word is just that. Just weighing and measuring your own merit and demerit is enough. Spiritual cultivation is just that simple. Because everything in our lives arises from it. When we don't know the Dharma, we just spend and consume our source of merit. When the merit runs out, we suffer. But it gets worse. It's not just about using up our merit. It's about using our merit to create demerit. Using our power and advantages to scold and harm others. In doing so, we create fresh demerit. So, alongside our account of merit, an account of demerit appears. And these two accounts, merit and demerit, are constantly offsetting each other. If the demerit becomes too great, it will slowly squeeze and press until the merit is gone and only demerit remains. But if the merit is still large, it can balance out the demerit and we can continue to get by. However precariously. So, when you really think about it, we are all living on a balancing beam, tilting back and forth between demerit and merit, never quite knowing which side is heavier. That's all it is. And now, having encountered the Buddha's teachings, we begin to understand the Dharma. We begin to understand demerit and merit. We begin to understand this spiritual accounting. But to what degree must our understanding reach before it gives rise to what we call a love for the Dharma? A feeling begins to appear. Remember this, when our wisdom, our cognition, reaches a certain level, feeling begins to emerge. The feeling of love and respect starts to appear. Take, for example, our relationship with the Buddha. We say we must have absolute respect for the Buddha. That word, respect, is a type of feeling. And anyone who can truly achieve this deep reverence for the Buddha is considered to have a solid foundation of merit for their life in this world. But if we haven't yet achieved that reverence, we are still drifting, still wandering, as if we have no anchor, no safe harbor. Our spiritual life will continue to be a struggle. So, whatever it takes, we must achieve this reverence for the Buddha. It is a feeling, but that feeling only appears after cognition. It arises from understanding. This means we must read the scriptures, practice the principles, and learn about the life of the Buddha until our wisdom gradually brightens and our understanding becomes truly deep. Only then will that feeling emerge. Only then will we begin to truly respect the Buddha. That is the principle. It's a psychological principle. We must understand something profoundly before we can develop a love for it. So it is with the Dharma. Only when we understand the Dharma deeply can we truly come to love it. It's just like in worldly life. A young man proposes to a young woman. She turns him down, saying, "Please, give me more time to get to know you," right? To understand him. Now, he had been observing her for days, asking all the neighbors about her. He already knew her. Her face was beautiful. Her body was beautiful. She was graceful and charming. Her relationships were all stable. He already knew all this, and he loved her. Wisdom came first, then came love. But when he proposed, she was caught off guard because she knew nothing about him. She had no cognition, so how could she love him? Therefore, she requested to follow the proper process. Give me time to get to know you. Cognition. Only after that could she decide whether to accept, whether she could love him. That is the natural process of life. We understand something good and beautiful, and then the feeling of love begins to grow. So what about love at first sight? What's that about? You meet someone and fall in love instantly. What's that case? Well, the karmic debt is just too heavy, so you have to bear it. What else can you do? That doesn't follow the normal psychological process. That is being governed by karma. You see a face and feel an instant connection because of a past life, a heavy debt between you. You just have to endure it. But under normal circumstances, feeling follows understanding. In the same way, our feeling for the Dharma must usually follow our understanding of the Dharma. We have to understand many principles, practice a great deal, contemplate deeply, and see the results with our own eyes. Only then will our love for the Dharma begin to burst forth. And slowly, that love will grow stronger and stronger. It is not an easy thing. As one of our brothers here mentioned earlier, as you practice in the pagoda, you gradually encounter many miraculous events, things that are difficult to explain. You can only come to believe one thing. This is truly the miracle of the Buddha Dharma. This is a profound wonder, a gift of protection from the powers above. So we already love the Dharma. We have already committed to this path, and as we practice, we begin to see cause and effect in action. We see the miracles of the Dharma manifest. And so our faith, our love for the Dharma, grows higher and higher. When it reaches a level that approaches what we call the ultimate or the absolute, that person has begun to sow the seeds for attaining stream entry. Remember that. It's not that just anyone can practice and attain stream entry. Our love for the Dharma, our reverence for the Buddha must become ultimate. That is when we sow the seed. But we haven't attained it yet. Okay? Not yet. And then, when we finally attain stream entry, that is when we can speak of the perfection of our reverence for the Buddha. Only then is it perfected. It becomes natural. Before that, we are trying to respect the Buddha. The feeling hasn't fully bloomed. Even with full intellectual understanding, without the insight of a holy one, a stream enterer, that absolute reverence hasn't yet appeared. But once we enter that stream, our understanding is complete and our reverence for the Buddha becomes absolute. That is the meaning. So here we are. The level of our understanding of the Dharma will determine how effectively, diligently, and enthusiastically we practice. For example, during the new year, many people go to the pagoda. They go, light some incense, bow to the Buddha, and go home. We understand that the spiritual heart of such a person is only at that level. It's a custom passed down from their ancestors. From the time they were small, their grandparents and parents would take them. After the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve, they would all go to the pagoda together in the dark. It was a joyful time. Everyone dressed in beautiful new clothes, walking in a great crowd. In the old days, they might have just carried oil lamps to light the way. The idea was that in the most sacred moment of the new year, you must first go to the pagoda. You entrust your soul to that sacred place first. Worldly matters can wait. This has become a beautiful custom, a tradition passed down through generations. An extremely beautiful tradition. But there are also people who don't care about this. On New Year's Eve, they watch some fireworks, and if they feel up to it, they'll have a drinking party and then sleep soundly until the next morning. If they don't feel up to it, they'll just go to bed early to save their energy for fun the next day. Because the holiday is for having fun. And to have fun, they invent all sorts of worldly games. So we understand that not everyone loves the Dharma. Not everyone dedicates their most sacred moments to the spiritual path. Sometimes we too are indifferent. Our love for the Dharma is too small, or perhaps completely absent. Then there are those whose love for the Dharma is deeper. Beyond just going to the pagoda whenever they visit friends or relatives, they bring the Dharma with them. They always want to share it, to spread their love for the Dharma to others. Because they know one thing for certain, without the Dharma, without moral principles, without a belief in cause and effect, in demerit and merit, people will live recklessly. They will live wantonly, creating negative karma and causing suffering for one another. And if everyone around us is living destructively, we can never be at peace either. Our own lives will be insecure. But if everyone around us knows how to do good, if everyone knows how to cultivate themselves, then we become happy by extension. Our own environment becomes a pleasant place to live. Therefore, the wisest person is the one who seeks refuge not in a fortress, but in a good community, a place where everyone around them knows how to cultivate themselves, where everyone knows the Dharma. That is true wisdom. It is not found in a place with deep moats and high walls. That is not happiness, that is loneliness. That is separation. Our true happiness is found in our community. In a place where people love one another, where everyone knows the Dharma, where everyone cultivates themselves. That becomes a wall of protection for everyone. Once we understand this, we will want to sow the seeds of Dharma in the hearts of everyone we meet, hoping that they too will learn to cultivate themselves. Then each person becomes a brick in the wall that protects everyone else. We protect our community, and our neighbors, in turn, protect us. That is a good community. That is why spreading the love for the Dharma, the understanding of the Dharma, is such an important responsibility. It doesn't just benefit others, it benefits us, and it benefits our children. Think about our children. We can't control them completely. At home, they might act like perfect angels. My child is so good at home, we say. But outside, they get involved with drugs and end up arrested. And when the police come to the house, we can only sit there and cry our eyes out, insisting, but my child is so good at home. At home, they were putting on an act, deceiving their parents to get money for their life outside. We simply don't have the strength to control them. But if we live in a good community, our neighbors will help watch over our children. They won't ignore them because they feel a sense of responsibility for one another. They care for one another. They protect one another. That is a good community. Contrast this with a wealthy neighborhood of high walls and locked gates where everyone lives in isolation. Suffering flourishes inside those houses. You see a castle, a mansion with many floors and high walls, but inside, pockets of misery are growing, full of conflict, resentment, sorrow, and contradiction. But it doesn't have to be a mansion with high walls. It can be a simple, moral community where everyone loves each other. You don't even need a strong fence, and yet you will be happy. Even when conflict arises in your own family, your neighbors will come over and help you resolve it. The strife is dissolved by the love of the community. Therefore, bringing the Dharma to everyone is truly our first and foremost responsibility. It makes our own lives more peaceful and happy, and it makes our children's future safer. They grow up in an environment where everyone around them is moral. That is incredibly safe for our children and our grandchildren. If we truly want our children to be safe, it's not about working ourselves to the bone to leave them a pile of money. Leaving them money is like the story of the couple the Buddha saw. You leave it to them and they gamble it away, party it away, and in a few years it's all gone. Not a penny left. And we worked so hard, toiling for every last cent, only for them to waste it in a few days. The wisest inheritance is to let them grow up in an environment where everyone is good, where everyone cultivates themselves. That is the greatest inheritance we can leave them. The inheritance is their own morality, and the morality of the entire community that surrounds them. Then they will be immeasurably safe. If we truly love our children, we must think of this first: bring morality to the community. So today we speak of the spiritual heart. But to what degree must it grow for it to become stable and firm? To what degree? Because if our spiritual heart isn't stable, isn't firm, then today we cultivate and tomorrow we quit. Today we practice, tomorrow we abandon it. But when our spiritual heart is solid, then we will walk this path forever, through life and death. So now, let's talk about a few levels of the spiritual heart just for fun. We can use it to evaluate ourselves and see where we stand. Actually, for those of you sitting here during the New Year holiday, your spiritual hearts are already quite high. People with a low spiritual heart wouldn't be sitting here during the holiday. The very fact that you are here means you're doing pretty well. But anyway, let's just create a scale and see which rung we might have reached. The first level is sitting and listening to the Dharma and falling asleep. No, I'm sorry, not that one. Let's skip it. Here is the first level. It is the belief that tigers must cultivate, bears must cultivate, but I don't need to cultivate. This is the first level of the spiritual heart. The belief that as long as I don't harm anyone, that's good enough. Does anyone here think like that? I don't harm anyone, that's enough. All those evil people should go to the pagoda. As for me, I live a gentle life. I don't hurt anyone. Many people believe this, and they are complacent about it. They say, I live a good life. I don't break the law. I don't harm anyone. That's good enough. They say this to be lazy, to avoid having to cultivate. Because cultivation involves so many rules and prohibitions, it's just too much trouble. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it's always the things we are most attached to that the Dharma forbids. So they think, I won't follow the Dharma. I won't cultivate. And if anyone asks them why, they just say, no, I'm a good person. I don't harm anyone. That's good enough. This is the person who clings to the first level to justify not needing to cultivate further. That's the first person. So this statement, I don't harm anyone, so I don't need to cultivate, is it right or wrong? It feels wrong, doesn't it? But it's hard to say exactly where it's wrong. It's the argument they use. And when we hear it, we sense something is off, but we can't pinpoint it. Something feels wrong here, as the kids say, but I can't put my finger on it. Where's it wrong? It is wrong here. Saying I don't harm anyone is not the same as being someone who cannot harm. It just means you have not yet harmed. The time will come when you will harm. When anger, greed, and delusion rise up, when wickedness and selfishness emerge, you will harm others. But right now, while you're sitting here feeling calm and happy, all that wickedness is just lying dormant in your mind. It hasn't erupted yet. So you think you're okay. But there is a huge pile of it still inside you. So many wrong, wicked, deluded things are still there and they have not been eradicated. Why? Because you haven't cultivated yourself. You just see that your greed and anger haven't arisen, so you think you're fine. The great danger of this first, lowest level of the spiritual heart is believing, I don't harm anyone, so I'm okay. In truth, you are not okay. It's not yet harmed. Not will never harm. It's not yet done wrong. Not will never do wrong. Those two are completely different. The person who will never do wrong is someone who has gone through a long, arduous, and difficult process of cultivation. Only then do they reach that state. We would say they have at least reached the stage of a stream enterer. And even a stream enterer can still make mistakes, let alone an ordinary person. For someone who has not yet attained anything, every little movement can be a mistake. So when you say, I do nothing wrong, so I don't need to go to the pagoda, it's only not yet, it is not never. This first attitude is a form of complacency, arrogance, and ignorance. Ignorant, because you fail to see the latent evil and wrong that lies hidden in your own heart, completely unresolved, just waiting for the day to erupt. And that will be your doom. Your doom. We often read sad stories in the news about a 70-year-old man who does something terrible. But for the 70 years before that day, if you had asked him, he would have said, I don't do anything wrong. But then at age 70, he did something wrong. It is incredibly dangerous. This is no joke. Now for the second step, which is better, to believe in cause and effect. You come to the pagoda. You listen to the monks and nuns, you talk with your Dharma friends, and you hear many stories about cause and effect. Maybe you don't quite believe the stories about past lives, because you can't see them. Or the promises about a next life, you don't quite believe those either. But many people tell stories of cause and effect in this very life. They say, gosh, that family, that man who used to butcher dogs for a living? When he was dying, he barked. For a whole month, he just stayed in his house and barked like a dog before he died. A miserable, painful death. Where he went after that, we don't know. But his final manifestation was that of a wounded dog. Everyone saw it. Everyone witnessed it. And it makes us afraid. We become afraid. Or you hear another story. What happened to that powerful man? Oh, he got arrested. Before that, he was so arrogant. He had power and money, he spoke recklessly and feared no one. Looking down on everybody. Many people were upset by him, but his merit was still too great, his power too strong, so no one dared to say a thing. In fact, many people flattered him. So nothing happened to him, until the day he was arrested for some crime. At that moment, you see it retribution in this very life. If you live a life of wrongdoing, the time will come when you have to pay the price. You don't have to wait for the next life. Hearing many stories like this, we come to believe that there truly is a kind of justice in the universe. And that justice, as the monks and nuns explain, is the law of cause and effect. The law of karma. It is invisible, but it governs everything, manipulates everything, arranges everything. It is perfectly just. Maybe right now we do a little something wrong and nothing happens. That's because the consequence hasn't ripened yet. Our old merit is still protecting us. But one day, when the consequence arrives, we will have to pay for every single thing. Nothing can be erased. So we begin to believe in cause and effect. At this point, the spiritual heart has taken a huge step forward. Remember this, to go from being a complacent person who thinks, I do no wrong, to becoming a humble person who believes in the law of cause and effect and is careful with every word, every action, every thought. That is a huge leap up the ladder of the spiritual heart. It is a very big step and it is not easy. Therefore, when we ourselves believe in and understand cause and effect, the act of convincing someone else to believe in it carries enormous merit. The merit is vast, it's no joke. Because you are saving that person's soul not just for this life, but for many lives to come once they truly believe in cause and effect. One time, a person asked the Buddha, can someone who is not a Buddhist be reborn in a heavenly realm? The Buddha replied, throughout the past 91 eons, I have not seen any non-believer be reborn in a heavenly realm, with one exception, a person who often spoke about cause and effect and karmic retribution. The merit of that person was so great. Though he was not a follower because he taught cause and effect, he was reborn in heaven. The merit is that great. It is the same for us. To lift a person from the complacent belief that they do no wrong up to the second rung of believing in cause and effect, the merit we gain is immense. And it's not easy. You have to be skillful. Your words must be persuasive. Your own life must be a good example. And if you have something to eat, you must be willing to share it. If you have a delicious curry, you bring it over. After a long time, their heart softens, and only then will they listen to you talk about cause and effect. It's not so easy that you can just grab someone by the shirt and say, hey. You have to believe in cause and effect. They'll think you're crazy. But if you come to them and say, hey, I have this delicious cake, have some, they'll be happy to accept. And you might have to do this 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, spending who knows how much money inviting them to eat and drink. Only then might they be willing to sit and listen about karma. So this expense, let's call it the Dharma cost, the cost of spreading the Dharma is very high. It costs more than the love cost. Have you heard of the love cost? When you love someone, you have to spend a lot. A lot. That's why we have the phenomenon of breaking up and demanding the gifts back. Because the cost of love was just too high. So, let's forget the love cost and talk about the Dharma cost. Spreading the Dharma is incredibly expensive, it's not easy at all. Does our pagoda have a Dharma cost? It's enormous. At our center, everything is free. The monks and nuns must offer their services for free. For instance, if a family has a death, the venerable monastics must go to chant for them. And they are absolutely forbidden from taking any money. That is the Dharma cost. And you have to do this many times before people's hearts soften. Before they begin to trust in the virtue of the monastics and finally come to the center to learn the Dharma. The cost is huge. Everything is free. We just serve and serve and serve, without ever calculating the effort. All the Buddhists who come here on these crowded days, like the youth group serving one another, that is all part of the Dharma cost. It costs so much time and energy, but that is the only way we can spread the Dharma. It's not easy. What is the third step? You begin to believe in divine beings, in gods and saints. In other religions, they have their God and their angels. In Buddhism, we certainly believe in the celestial realms. We believe in the Bodhisattvas. And at the highest level, we believe in the Buddha. The Buddha was a historical person. But we believe that this historical person achieved an extraordinary, supreme enlightenment. This is another very big step forward. It's one thing to believe in a vague being from a faraway realm based on stories in a holy book. But here, the Buddha was a real human being, and yet we believe he achieved absolute enlightenment. That kind of understanding is a massive leap. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. It's similar to how Christians believe in Jesus. Jesus was also a human being who only preached for 3 years. Yet people believe he achieved ultimate divinity. And for centuries upon centuries, that belief has never wavered. It's like that. And if we can develop the correct belief, it is a great step forward for our spiritual heart. This is the third level. It's not easy because believing in divine beings means believing in the supernatural. In things that science doesn't yet know, things that are beyond ordinary human intellect. Why beyond human intellect? Because our intellect understands some science, some mathematics. And that's about it. But the concept of divine beings, beings who have attained limitless power, wisdom, and virtue, we don't have a textbook for that yet. But we must try to understand and believe. This is a very special step. And when we can believe in divine beings, what happens? At the second step, when we believe in cause and effect, we start to control our own actions. The good result is that we stop doing wrong and we like to do good and help people. But at the third step, when we believe in divine beings, what happens? An interaction begins between us and them. A connection is formed between us and the divine. These are beings we cannot see, but through our wisdom, virtue, and understanding, we trust them, we pray to them, and a connection is made. And suddenly, our life is elevated. It becomes nobler, more miraculous, and more beautiful. Like the stories we heard earlier. Yesterday, a young man from our youth group told one. A few days before the new year, a Dharma brother was hit by a car. He was hit hard, suffering a brain hemorrhage and a broken leg. They put his leg in a cast but didn't dare do anything else, because the brain hemorrhage was so severe that the slightest disturbance could kill him instantly. The doctors told the family there was no hope. He was just lying there. They didn't dare operate. It was a 50-50 chance at best, but more like a 90% chance of death. So after seeing the scans, they couldn't offer any hope. So what did we do? We turned to the Dharma. We told the family to make merit, to release living beings, to pray and chant the name of the Bodhisattva of compassion, and especially to get some water from a particularly sacred well. a place blessed by the Bodhisattva's spiritual power. The man lay there for a few days. The doctors took another scan. The bleeding in his brain had stopped. It wasn't spreading. No surgery would be needed. They would just wait for the blood to dissolve. He lay there for another 7 days. They took another scan. The blood had vanished. His brain was back to normal. They scanned his broken leg. It had already mended itself. He wouldn't need surgery for that either. He was about to be discharged to go home for the new year. All in just a few days. There is no medical explanation. Why? Because we were able to connect with the divine. We received a miracle from the powers above. Our life becomes more sublime, more miraculous, better. So, the ability to connect with the divine is a miracle. But we must first believe in them for such things to happen. And that is not easy. It's like another story from this morning. A group of Dharma brothers had chartered a bus to come to the pagoda, but the driver was stubborn. He said he would only drive on the main highway. Driving up the road to the pagoda was not on his route, and the road from the highway to the pagoda is quite long. Hiring taxis to ferry everyone back and forth would be very expensive. Everyone was worried. They argued and argued with the driver, but he was obstinate. It was his principle, he said, and he wouldn't budge. So what did they do? They told each other to stop arguing. They just lay down on the bus and quietly chanted the Buddha's name, praying to the Bodhisattva of compassion. And they fell asleep. When they opened their eyes, they were at the pagoda gate. The driver said, "Here we are." He had driven them all the way up himself. We don't know who argued on their behalf. Their own arguments had failed. But something softened his heart, and he changed his mind. So you see, when we connect with the divine, many miraculous things can happen in our lives very unexpectedly. That is the what step. The third. Now for the fourth step. Our spiritual heart grows even stronger. What is it? We begin to truly love everyone. To love people, to love animals. Before, if a dog came near us, we might have grabbed a stick to chase it away. I used to. But when you reach this fourth level, when a dog comes near, you look at it and you feel love. You don't chase it away anymore. That's the beginning. You look at it, and a feeling of love appears. You look at other people, and a feeling of love appears. Before, if you were in a crowd, you might have thought, "Heavens, why is it so crowded?" You feel squeezed, inconvenienced. The presence of other people feels like a nuisance. Your space is taken, your path is blocked, you have to wait in line for the restroom, wait in line for food. And someone else always gets to your favorite dish first. The presence of others is an inconvenience. This is why we have so much conflict, even in families. 5 or 7 people in a small house, always bumping into each other. It's exhausting. And when the parents die, they fight and kill each other over the inheritance. The world is like that. But when you know the Dharma, when you reach this fourth level, love appears naturally. You look at people and you feel love. You look at an animal and you feel love. You can even feel love for the grass and the trees. The love just spreads out on its own. It radiates from you. You don't have to force it. It just flows. That is the fourth level. So we should look at ourselves. Do we find it easy to love everyone yet? If so, we know we have reached the fourth level. But if we still look at others and feel annoyed, we haven't reached the fourth level of the spiritual heart. Only when you can easily love everyone, when you look at anyone and feel love, when you look at them and want them to be happy and to find the path, then you know you have reached the fourth level. And these large gatherings are the perfect opportunity. When you are surrounded by so many people, let that love just well up inside you, brimming over. You look at the crowd, and your love just flows and flows, flooding the entire space. When there are only a few people, you love a few people. But the more people there are, the more your love arises, pouring out like a great river. And if, in this space of thousands of people, everyone loved each other, what would we call this place? We would call it heaven, paradise. What is heaven? It is simply a place where everyone loves each other. That's all. And that can only be achieved at the fourth level. It is not easy to look at anyone and feel love. And when you can look at anyone and feel love, when you see an animal and feel love, then the fifth spiritual heart begins to appear. What is the fifth? You overcome your laziness and your stinginess and you begin to help each other. For example, you've just gotten yourself a plate of food. Then you see someone else looking shy and hesitant. It seems they want to eat, but maybe it's their first time here. You can tell just by looking at their face. They are new and they are timid. So you take the plate of food you already have, the one you spent time carefully selecting all the best items for, right? And you walk over and offer it to them. Then you go back and get another one for yourself. That small moment, seeing someone's hesitation and giving them what you have, that is the emergence of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. The fifth level. You begin to make an effort to help others. That effort. So you have a heart that loves people and then you help people. The two words, help people, sound so simple. But it is extremely arduous. Extremely arduous. It is not easy in the slightest. A lazy person can never reach this fifth level. The person who reaches this level of the spiritual heart is diligent, generous and giving, and their work must be arduous. When you look at a person who has reached this fifth level, you can see the diligence in their face. There is no laziness, no indifference. No, whatever happens, happens attitude. You see that they are responsible and attentive. You can see it immediately. And such people become very rich in merit. When they die, they are often reborn in heavenly realms. It's hard for them to stay here. Diligence is the beginning of creating merit. When you start to be diligent, to endure hardship, to do this and that, the causes for a heavenly rebirth are gradually appearing. That's why in the heavens you only meet diligent beings. All the lazy ones are down here. Down here where? In the hell realms. Because if you just sit around consuming all your merit and refuse to do anything, you just slide down, down, down to the very bottom. What place would want to take in someone so lazy? This brings to mind a strange story. A son returned from America to live with his parents. After a few years, his parents took him to court, asking the judge to please evict him from their house. It sounds strange, doesn't it? What loving parents would kick their own son out? But if we understand it through cause and effect, it makes sense. He was unemployed. So he came home to live off his parents, thinking that since they gave birth to him, they were obligated to support him. And it's true, they must support him. But they support him until he has absolutely no merit left. And at that point, their love turns into hatred. So, you can know how much merit you have by observing the level of love or hatred others feel towards you. If they look at you with indifference, not really noticing you, then you have no particular demerit or merit with them. If they look at you and glare, if they seem worried you might steal something, if they hate you before you've even done anything, then you know your merit is very low even in the negative. But if they look at you and smile, if they come over to shake your hand and say, "Hey, how are you? Come join us," then you know your merit is abundant. It's just like that. So later today, you can try an experiment. Just walk back and forth in front of everyone and see how they look at you. If you want to know how much merit you have, just watch their faces. If nobody looks at you at all, well, you'd better go back inside and do some more prostrations to the Buddha, okay? Your merit is low. If you walk back and forth and people glare at you with suspicion, then you know your merit is in the negative. No one loves you. But if you walk back and forth and people come up to shake your hand, "Hello? So good to see you," then you know you've got a little bit of merit. Sometimes even I don't have much merit. One time, at a ceremony decades ago, I was walking with my staff to see how everyone was doing. And some fellow, I don't know who he was, walked right past me. He glanced at me, a cold glance, and just kept walking. He was there for the ceremony, but he wasn't my disciple. But how could he not know who I was? He just looked at me with a cold, empty look and walked away. I knew right then. My merit must have run out. Either my merit was gone, or he was a thief who had snuck in to pick people's pockets, and so he had no interest in the Dharma or the abbot. Actually, if you want to know who the pickpockets are at a big ceremony, you just need to send me out. If I walk around once, I'll know immediately who the thieves are. Because a real Buddhist, when they look at me, their eyes will have at least a little bit of warmth. But if someone looks at me with a cold, blank stare, as if to say, "Who is this old man walking around?" then you know that person is a thief who has infiltrated the crowd. But let us return. The fifth level is where we begin to make a real effort to help people. This is the activation of wholesome karma in a concrete way. It's no longer just a thought in your head. It's no longer just thinking, "I love people. I am good to everyone." No, it is concrete action. And when you step into concrete action, it costs you. It costs you time, energy, mental effort, and money. But because it costs you something, it comes back with a great return. Its return is that one becomes 1,000, one becomes 10,000. It's like planting a single mango seed. You water it and fertilize it. When it grows into a tree, it gives you fruit year after year. You might enjoy its fruit for 50 or 60 years, all from planting one seed and taking care of it for a few years. That is how cause and effect works. So when you expend effort, energy, time, and money to love and help others, when the karmic result comes back, it's almost exhausting to receive it. It's an arduous task to enjoy so much good fortune. It's not easy. Sometimes you might want to hide to find a quiet place to be alone, but someone will find you and hug you. Oh, I missed you so much. Come eat this, eat that. And you can't even find a moment's peace. It's overwhelming. You want to sit still, but you can't because people love you so much. Why? Because that one mango seed has grown into a tree with so much fruit, you can't escape the harvest. When your merit arrives, it's an arduous blessing. The person nobody loves suffers in one way. The person everybody loves suffers in a different way. That's true, isn't it? The suffering of being loved by everyone is that you can't possibly please them all. If you welcome this person, you neglect that one. If you entertain that one, you offend another. So you're always trying to be fair and harmonious, but you simply don't have the strength to do it all. Now the sixth. What is the sixth level? It is when you begin to go deep into your own mind to filter out and purify all the unwholesome states that are still hidden there. What are these hidden states? Anger, greed, selfishness, arrogance, boastfulness, jealousy, competitiveness. All these things are simmering deep inside. Up until now, the levels of the spiritual heart have mostly been about our interaction with the outside world. But now at the sixth level, we go deep. We go into our own minds to rummage through everything and wash it clean. Why? Because no matter how good we are on the outside, if unwholesome things are still hidden in our hearts, there will come a day when we do something wrong. A day when we create negative karma. The only way to be truly safe is to wash our own minds clean. Only then can we dare to declare, I no longer do anything wrong. Only then. But as long as those latent faults are still inside, just you wait. A time will come when they arise and you will do wrong. The danger is still very real. Therefore, at this deep stage of cultivation, the work is to sink into our own minds and cleanse them. Is this easy or difficult? It is difficult, because it is invisible. You can see a poor person and help them. That's tangible. But the selfishness hidden in your own heart, you can't see it. And to destroy it is incredibly difficult. This is a very high level of the spiritual heart. It requires sharp wisdom and great courage. The courage to admit that you are still wrong and the wisdom to know your own faults. This is extremely difficult. A person who cultivates to this level has a very advanced spiritual heart. They must have already gone through all the hardships of loving and helping others, of understanding karma, of believing in the divine. Only then do they have enough strength, wisdom, and courage to look deep inside, see their own faults, and begin to wash them away. This process is not easy at all. And usually no one has the strength to correct their own faults by themselves. Remember this. No one has the strength to do it alone. For example, if you have selfishness, don't ever think you can eradicate it on your own. What must you do? You must rely on the Buddha's blessing. It is only through the spiritual power of the Buddha, seeping deep into your mind, that you can eradicate a fault like selfishness. By our own human power, none of us can do it. Please remember this. If you know you have a bad trait, don't think you can just destroy it. You suppress it here, it will pop up over there. You block it there, it will ooze out from somewhere else. You cannot defeat it alone. Only when you sincerely prostrate to the Buddha, this is where the third level, believing in divine beings, really comes into play. Can you go deep into your mind, discover your faults, and eradicate them? It is not simple at all. By our own strength, we cannot fix our own faults. Therefore, anyone who says, "Oh, I will fix my own faults," is arrogant and mistaken. At this level, you cannot walk alone. At the other levels, perhaps you can accomplish the cultivation by yourself. But at the level of eradicating the deep faults of the mind, no one can succeed alone. It all requires the secret, silent blessing of the powers above. And finally, what is the ultimate level of the spiritual heart? A love for meditation. After we have gone through all the hard work, eradicating unwholesome states, doing countless good deeds for the world, the final fruit of all that merit is meditation. One time, I met a man from a very devout family. He heard that I practiced meditation, so he asked me, "Teacher, I try so hard to sit in meditation, but my mind is always agitated. Is there a way to make it calm?" I didn't give him a technique. I only said this: try to ensure that every single one of your thoughts is wholesome. At the very end of the path of goodness, meditation will open up on its own. When we walk to the absolute end of the path of wholesomeness, we will find the tranquility of the mind. Our mind can only truly rest in meditation after it has gone through a long, arduous process of being sanctified, of being made utterly wholesome. It's like a person who gets to retire at 65. They receive their retirement papers and can go home. But they still get paid. They don't have to worry anymore, simply because they have worked and contributed their whole life, and now the law allows them to rest. The mind is the same. It can only stop its incessant thinking and find rest in meditation after it has toiled for a long, long time in the fields of goodness. If the mind is not purely wholesome, it can never arrive at deep concentration. So, when you have passed through all the other levels of the spiritual heart from low to high, when the merit you have created is vast and your virtue is thick, then at the very end you will suddenly find that you love meditation. You love the stillness of a concentrated mind. Now, many people come to our center here because we specialize in meditation. They hear me talk about it and they like it, they want to practice. But that initial liking is not yet this final, seventh level of the spiritual heart. It's more likely a connection from a past life mixed in for fun. It's not yet the deep, determined love for meditation. But if you walk the path through the 6 previous levels and your merit becomes immense, your virtue becomes profound, then at the end, you will be compelled to love meditation. At that time, suddenly your heart will feel very light. You will see everything in the world as flowing water, as drifting clouds. Nothing will seem worth grasping anymore. And you will understand that the ultimate realm of happiness is simply the pure, tranquil mind of meditation. That's all. This is the 7th level. So look into your own heart. Have you walked the path of virtue to the point where you have an ultimate love for meditation? Do you just love to sit? Do you love to cross your legs and meditate? Whenever you are free, do you sit? Do you never, ever skip a day? No matter how busy you are, do you always try to sit? And on the rare occasion when you are forced to miss a session, does your heart ache with regret? The person who feels this way has reached the 7th level of the spiritual heart, a deep and abiding love for meditation. So, just now we have discussed the 7 levels of the spiritual heart. What was the first level? Tigers must cultivate, but I'm okay, I don't need to. What was the second level? Believing in cause and effect. The third? Believing in divine beings. The fourth? Being able to love all people and all beings. The fifth? Starting to make a real effort to help others. The sixth? Purifying the deep, hidden faults within the mind. And the 7th? A deep and abiding love for meditation. Remember these. Among these 7 rungs, which one are you on? What if the answer is, well, I seem to be on all of them. I have a little love for meditation. But I also sometimes think I don't do anything wrong and don't need to cultivate. If you have a piece of every level from 1 to 7, well, then you are truly a superstar. A superstar. Okay. Let's conclude for today. Thank you, Venerable Buddhists. We respectfully express our deep gratitude to the teacher. We now invite the assembly to rise. Let us share the merit of this gathering. May all beings throughout all realms find the strength to practice, to overcome their own ignorance, and may we all realize the path to enlightenment together. We respectfully invite the Venerable Sangha to the dining hall, and we also invite the organizing committee of the youth groups to the dining hall for lunch. And we warmly invite all our friends and guests to stay and share a meal with the pagoda.